Donald Trump kicked off his second term with a pledge to bring the world together.
My proudest legacy will be that of a peacemaker and unifier. That's what I want to be, a peacemaker and a unifier.
12 months on, European troops are being dispatched to Greenland as the US president talks seriously about a possible invasion of territory held by a NATO ally.
How far are you willing to go to acquire Greenland?
You'll find out.
In Donald Trump's second term, peace and unity have so far been in short supply. The US has launched military strikes on Iran, Yemen, Nigeria and Syria. The war in Ukraine rages on and the Gaza ceasefire is shaky at best. Just this month, the world watched as American forces snatched Venezuela's president in an overnight raid. And now Greenland appears to be next on the list of US conquests.
Feels like every day we wake up and there is a new piece of news that is surprising, that we probably wouldn't have anticipated.
Around the world, governments are scrambling to deal with the upending of the international rules-based order by a US president keen to throw America's weight around.
He really does intend to completely transform American foreign policy, and in the process, he's doing some of the crazy things which when he first talked about doing them, people dismissed as unthinkable.
We need Greenland for national security and even international security, and we're working with everybody involved to try and get it.
National security may be one of the president's stated aims for acquiring Greenland. Anger over being snubbed for the Nobel Peace Prize is apparently another, as the president's extraordinary text message to Norway's Prime Minister this week made clear. The Norwegian government has no say over who gets the honour, but Mr. Trump begs to differ.
And don't let anyone tell you that Norway doesn't control the shots, okay? It's in Norway. Norway controls the shots. They'll say, we have nothing to do with it. It's a joke. They've lost such prestige.
If anything, it sounded to me like, the excuse from an abusive partner, which was, look what you made me do.
Matthew Duss, a former foreign policy advisor to Democratic presidential candidate Bernie Sanders, says the Greenland crisis is the latest and by far boldest example of raw power trumping diplomacy in this second term.
I've referred to it in the past as essentially running a global mafia. That is really how he seems to see the United States. It's a world now of might makes right.
The Trump administration did telegraph its actions in its new national security strategy released late last year, declaring the US must remain preeminent in the Western Hemisphere to preserve its security and prosperity. Still, NATO allies have been taken aback. French President Emmanuel Macron warning today of a shift towards a world without rules.
Where international law is trampled underfoot, and where the only law that seems to matter is that of the strongest, and imperial ambitions are resurfacing.
We stand firmly with Greenland and Denmark and fully support their unique right to determine Greenland's future.
Donald Trump has backed up his Greenland threats with what has been his preferred non-military weapon of choice over the last 12 months, tariffs. The US will slap trade penalties on key European nations from next month unless the president gets what he wants. European leaders are now considering retaliating, triggering a full-blown transatlantic trade war. Meanwhile, on the other side of the world...
So we see that the President Trump himself is focused on Europe and on the Middle East and is focused now increasingly on what we're calling the Western Hemisphere, but there doesn't seem to be a lot of focus on Asia or even a coherent or developed Asia strategy for the United States.
And with the president's attention firmly focused elsewhere, this could have significant consequences in Australia's backyard.
I think he's really quite relaxed about the idea that China ends up being the dominant power in our part of the world, just the way he wants to be the dominant power in the Western Hemisphere.
Hugh White is a former senior defence official who's been warning for years Australia needs to stop depending on the US for military security and become more self-reliant. The last 12 months have hardened his view.
I think we've got a real wake-up call from Australia's point of view that the idea that we should be relying on the United States under Trump to continue to maintain its strategic leadership in this part of the world, making Asia safe for us as they've done for so long. I think under Trump that's something we absolutely cannot take for granted.
A regional flashpoint like a Chinese invasion of Taiwan will put America's commitment to the test.
I think very high likelihood that the US would not intervene. I think it would be entirely consistent with Trump's approach, for example, in the way he's approached the Ukraine situation, to see that that's really Taiwan's problem, not America's.
While there's no prospect of Australia ending its alliance with the United States, the remaining 3 years of the Trump presidency may present some serious challenges.
What's our plan B? What is Australia going to do if the United States goes further down the path of, say, increasing authoritarianism, withdrawing from international law, declaring that international law does not matter? As a middle power country that relies on a rules-based order, as we are often told, the idea that our ally is willing to disregard international law and norms and institutions is a pretty scary prospect.